Welcome back to another episode of Bennett does quests for the Knights of Favonius, and now we're talking to Swan. Let's see what he has for us. Hey, honorary knight, wait up a moment. Who? Me? Ah, who but you would be Mondstadt's famous honorary knight. That said, you haven't gotten a copy of the Knights of Favonius Handbook yet, have you? It contains the vast majority of the principles that knights should follow, as well as some knowledge for common use. As an honorary knight, you should at least be familiar with some of this. I requisitioned a copy from the knights just for you. Please give it a read. Once you're done, I'll quiz you a little. This will involve some content recorded in the handbook, as well as some common sense questions. And depending on how you answer, I'll also be giving you a small gift. Ooh. So, it's all about reading things now. That's also a nice way to introduce a game mechanic. There, because it's a quest object, it's in here and not inside the codex or something. A code for conduct covering language usage and behavioral norms for Mondstadt's Knights of Favonius, personally edited by Acting Grandmaster Jean. All knights are expected to strictly abide by these rules and regulate their words and deeds accordingly. It's good for image and everything. Knights of Favonius Handbook 5th edition. This handbook is a guide on the core principles of the Knights of Favonius. Knights should carefully read the content of this handbook and strictly hold themselves to the standards detailed within in their life and work, serving the people of Mondstadt as a model Knight of Favonius. As members of the Knights of Favonius, it is incumbent upon us to be the very embodiment of the three virtues of knighthood: modesty, honesty, and self-control. These are the three pillars of Mondstadt's freedom. Remember, freedom cannot exist without the support of duty. The direct embodiment of these values comes, of course, in one's everyday speech and actions. Hence, this handbook outlines behavioral standards and language usage prescriptions that are intended to cover all potential scenarios that you may encounter in the course of duty. Alright, so let's remember one thing: modesty, honesty, and self-control, because this might be one of those questions about it. Modesty, honesty, self-control. Like, modesty and self-control kind of go together, and honesty is just a little bit on top. So, section 1. A knight must exercise vigilance at all times and must never treat any potential threat to Mondstadt lightly. When it comes to your attention that a citizen of Mondstadt is in need, you must come to their aid promptly and willingly, for it is the fundamental duty of the Knights of Favonius to be of service to the people of Mondstadt. Section 2. When greeting a traveling merchant from a distant land, pay attention to express proper respect and courtesy. Do not exhibit suspicious or hostility towards them, no matter how suspicious they may seem. Oh, that is actually quite interesting. So, wait a minute, there's a name for this. Is it something framing or something? But I think this is not it. If you basically just pick the suspiciously looking individuals out from the crowd, and with suspicious I mean probably people of color or whatnot, immigrants and whatever. Like, this is as a real world situation. It has a very specific name. I just can't get it at the moment. What was it? Bollocks. Anyway, in the end, the result is that because you only check the, in this case, suspicious people, of course, you get most of them to do crimes. But in actuality, everybody will have to get checked, whatever. Anyway, so treat people nicely. That's section 2. Approved language. Welcome to Mondstadt. Strange yet respectable. Travelers, wayfarers, guests, please state your identity and intended destination. The Knights of Favonius are here to ensure your safety. Select the appropriate term of address accordingly. Oh. Okay, welcome to Mondstadt. Strange yet respectable. Wait a minute. Strange yet respectable traveler, wayfarer, guests, plurals every time. Please state your yet respectable, strange yet respectable. If it is like a merchant from a distant land, probably. But anyway, please state it. That's I would just strike out the word strange and just keep it as respectable traveler, wayfarer, or guest. Sounds better. The Knights of Favonius are here to ensure your safety. Select the appropriate term. Prohibited language. Hey, you, stop right there. State your identity, you rascal, hooligans, ruffians, outlanders, trespassers. Welcome to the city of Wind and idols, otherworldly travelers, vagrants, animals, burgeoning storms. Note, refrain from using vulgar or coarse language. It is especially important never to address the guest using pejorative nomenclature, for this is certain to make them feel most unwelcome indeed. What is pejorative nomenclature? Like dude or something? I don't know. Whatever. Just don't use this. Always traveler, wayfarer, or guest. These are the 3 words that are allowed. So, section 3. Never meet members of the public with an attitude of nonchalance or apathy. A responsible knight must always be ready to offer up both sword and sweat for the people's sake. Accordingly, during periods of rest, recreation, or relative inactivity, you must maintain a knightly disposition and be ready to fully re-engage in work matters at a moment's notice. It's a full-time job. Well, not full-time, all-time job. Approved language. Musing to oneself while on a break. I shall check for any previously undiscovered safety issues in Mondstadt, for I, as a knight, have a duty to safeguard Mondstadt at all times. Safety issues. Musing to oneself. While on a break. This is the... conversing with city folk at a tavern. As a knight, it's always as a knight. Well, wait a minute, where was it? Yeah, for I as a knight. As a knight, I am expected to gain an understanding of people's day-to-day needs and concerns. This knowledge is also indispensable to me in the performance of my duties. Note, even when there is no work to be done whatsoever, it is not permissible to take a gratuitous amount of downtime at your own discretion. But if you're always in work mode anyway, so that kind of makes no sense. Whatever. Prohibited language. On active guard duty, imagine having a lifetime supply of cider. And while taking a break, well, have you got a minute? Note, the acting Grandmaster has instructed Noel to immediately report any work-shy knights who attempt to delegate their existing duties to her. It should go without saying that this behavior is entirely unacceptable. Penalties for violations will take the form of reduced vacation allowance and or salary deductions. The next time that you consider shirking your duties, you are strongly advised to consider whether the consequences are worth it. Holy moly. So, section 4. Well, how many sections are there? Oh, goodness gracious. A lot. And I'm gonna get quizzed on this. Oh, no. While the Knights of Favonius respect the important place of wine in Mondstadt's cultural heritage, it is nevertheless expected that the knights will exercise due self-control with regard to the alcohol intake. It is not permitted to be drunk while on duty, and it is strictly forbidden to encourage or facilitate the consumption of alcohol by minors. Note, Knights of Favonius who are not of legal drinking age are forbidden from consuming alcohol. Accordingly, minors must always be accompanied by an adult co-worker when entering taverns and other premises where alcohol is served. Interesting. Interesting. Because, yeah, the whole factor of having an adult, like the whole idea of an age restriction It's kind of interesting if you think about it, right? Because it all depends on, okay, which age you're going to pick and why does this specific age make the most sense. Because in the end, the human evolves or grows up differently every time. If every single one of them has a different hormonal household, therefore the way they might behave might be completely different from one person to another one, and also depends on what people you are around and everything. This is just really interesting. Like, we think that this is normal, but actually it's kind of is not if you think about it. Whatever. Section 5, new. Owing to a recent increase in Fatui activity in the city, knights are reminded that it is forbidden to disclose details of any matters concerning Knights of Favonius operations and strategic deployment to any persons from outside the organization while not on active duty. Okay, so no information gets out of the Knights of Favonius, period. Section 6. In the event of a major monster-wide emergency, Knights of Favonius are expected to lead by example and act to safeguard human lives and property. In times of crisis, when people come to you with questions, it is important to answer them clearly and calmly and to remind them to prioritize their personal safety at all times. Well, who is there in terms of when people come to it, is when you answer them clearly and calmly and to remind them. Okay, so just say that they should prioritize their own safety, but if things go south, then we are here to save the day. Sweet. Approved language. Please do not worry. Approved. Wait, what? This is approved language, and then there's prohibited language. Okay, let's go to the approved section. Please do not worry, the Knights of Favonius will do their utmost to protect Mondstadt. When danger is imminent, please do not panic. Cover your head with both hands and crouch down. Better protect yourself. Then follow the instructions given to you by the Knights of Favonius' crew, who will lead you to safety in a swift and orderly fashion. New. Please rest assured that even though Grandmaster Varga is not currently in Mondstadt, the Knights of Favonius are quite well equipped to deal with this crisis in a swift and elegant manner, only applicable during the Grandmaster's absence. It's kind of like how to NPC. Prohibited language. We've never had to deal with a situation like this before. Even the Knights are powerless in face of a crisis like this magnitude. I think I've heard this one. Note, even in extreme cases where the crisis is indeed of a kind that has not been seen before, it is imperative that you do not appear overwhelmed in front of members of the public, and that you do not do or say anything to call into question the capabilities of the Knights of Favonius. So again, fake it till you make it, kind of, and also just to keep appearances. It's really interesting because it's a question of trust, really. And if that one is missing, then of course people just do whatever they want, and even if you are a knight, then you will have a huge problem. So because then you can't really use your authority to keep everything in check. Now, section 7. When greeting travelers from afar, please act hospitably by informing them of the locations of essential businesses and services, recommending popular tourist destinations, and giving any further assistance that they may request or require. So be nice, tell them what's what and whatever. Approved language. If it's your first time here, I recommend visiting the Mondstadt Cathedral. If you're tired, go have some Mondstadt's famous wine at a tavern called Angel's Share. If you are at the age, of course. Section 8. Remember to espouse the virtues of modesty and honesty, also in your interactions with co-workers and companions. That is to say, be self-effacing in a conversation with comrades, and be open and truthful with them, nurturing and maintaining a sense of camaraderie and solidarity between all our knights is our first line of defense against the enemy. So it's basically us against them and the rest of Mondstadt. Approved language. That was wonderful. I've never had a battle experience like that before. It's really how to NPC. Avoid exaggerating your speech to the point where you become overbearing. Your words and tone should simply express a sufficient degree of respect and cordiality towards your fellow knights. Section 9. As guards of Mondstadt, servicing as the shield of the Anemo Archon, the Knights of Favonius must set an example for others to follow. Under no circumstances should any knight ever violate the rules and regulations of Mondstadt. If any knight is found to have damaged public property or the private property of a citizen of Mondstadt while not on duty, following a damage assessment, an amount equivalent to the damages caused shall be deducted from the salary and or bonus of the knight in question. So interesting, the knight does not have to pay it, it's actually deducted from their salary the next time they get it. It's really interesting. Also a nice way of keeping the money kind of safe. So you can't just say, yeah, you don't have the money and so on and so forth. So you kind of just, it's kind of like, how do you say that? It's like having an insurance, but yeah, instead of paying insurance, it's just getting deducted from the pay. It's really interesting. Makes things much easier. And also, maybe there's not that much paperwork you have to do. So, where was I? Deducted from the salary in question. Knights who are minors at the time of the violation and who therefore do not receive a formal salary will be penalized with solitary confinement in lieu of a fine, with the period of incarceration to be determined based on the severity of the violation. Okay, first and foremost, knights who are minors. Okay, if you are a knight and you are a minor, why don't you get paid? Come on. That is just absolutely me. Who therefore do not receive a formal salary. Like that is just no. Just because you're a small person does not, well, in this case, small in terms of young, right? Doesn't mean that you should actually get paid less. Quite the opposite, in fact. Actually, yeah. If you start on a job, you usually start with very little money in your pockets, but then you are expected to just get more and more and more if you get more experience and so on and so forth. But if you would do it the other way around, or at least already start with a high amount of money, then wouldn't that be much better? Because then you can keep a house or at least some flat you can live in or whatnot. Some room you can have. You can also maintain your equipment or whatever you need on a day-to-day business. That is just so much better. Unbelievable. So with a period based on the severity of the violation. The fish and other aquatic life found in Mondstadt's lakes and rivers are classed as public property, and as such must not be destroyed under any circumstances. Ooh, okay. Fish and other aquatic life. I don't know if I destroyed some fish in Mondstadt. In Mondstadt's lakes and rivers, I think I definitely collected some of those fish. I don't know what they mean by Mondstadt's lakes and rivers. Do they mean like some bodies of water inside the town, or is it the whole thing? Because this is a little bit too much, I would say. A bit too much. Overfishing, maybe, but this, nah. Section 10. Knights of Favonius should always remain vigilant and exercise due caution when dealing with strangers. again, strangest thing, even when dealing with non-hostiles. A knight should clarify to the stranger their rights and responsibilities as an outsider, explaining the rules and customs of Mondstadt in a firm but fair manner. Amendment number 1. Extra scrutiny is required when dealing with visiting diplomats from other nations, whose activity gives cause for concerns. Okay, so be careful when it comes to, diplomats, especially for the Fatui. That's probably the reason why it is put in here. Section 11. In the interest of preventing incidents involving wind glider users, Knights of Favonius should also pay close attention to aerial activity in the region. Knights are required to perform spot checks on users of wind gliders and ensure that the details therein are current and valid. Should you observe any illegal aerial activity within the city, you should shout to the offender at the top of your voice, imploring them to cease gliding immediately. Should they persist, you should take such further action as is necessary to de-escalate the situation. Note, even if the airborne offender is an off-duty member of the Knights of Favonius, this is no cause for leniency. You have full authority to revoke the offending party's gliding license should you deem this to be the appropriate course of action. And then what happens? Like in this case, one part is you check their gliding license. The offender. What do they even try to offend? Okay, what was it that you shouldn't do with the wind glider? Have another person piggyback or carry something or whatever. It's basically a safety. It's not really that it's not allowed. It's more that if things go south, it's just better to not do it at all. In this case, have another person piggyback or carry something or whatever, because things could fall down, and everything that is not directly attached to the glider, which is the pilot only, will probably fall down and get damaged or damage something else. So it's just a pretty, it's just a nice rule to keep everything safe. So, Appendix terminology notes. Knightly virtues refers to the 3 core virtues of modesty. This is the everything that's marked with a star. Knightly virtues refers to the 3 core virtues of modesty, honesty, and self-control. Espousing the Knight of Favonius, the 3 are mutually reinforced and treated as a collective. Knights must conduct themselves in accordance with these virtues at all times. 2. Terms of address refer to the various honorifics used to address members of the public, including visitors to Mondstadt, as public servants to the free people of Mondstadt and hosts to others from beyond our borders. We are expected to use the appropriate terms of address in all encounters as an act of courtesy. An education in etiquette is mandatory for all serving knights. Duty number 3 refers to our responsibility to serve the people of Mondstadt and protect the freedom of Mondstadt. Officially appointed Knights of Favonius should refrain from talking flippantly or irreverently about their responsibilities or their honor as a knight in their day-to-day lives, so as to preserve the dignity of our organization's reputation. Number 4. The Anemo Archon. New. The Anemo Archon Barbatos is the god of wind and song, the grantor and guardian of Mondstadt's freedom, and the one in whom the people of this land place their faith. As an organization, the Knights of Favonius heeds the will of the Anemo Archon. This means that we must be prepared to go to war in the event that Mondstadt's freedom comes under threat. Note: need to add additional material on this term. Several members of the Knights of Favonius and even the Church seem not to have any belief in the Anemo Archon at all. Interesting. So, is it now a forced belief system? Because that can go south a very, very quick way. Anyway, number 5, the Fatui. Diplomats and other agents of Snezhnaya stationed here in Mondstadt, they are afforded diplomatic immunity within our borders. Their activities are shrouded in mystery and deceit, and their intentions are obscure. Warning: always be wary around members of the Fatui. If you observe any suspicious activity, report it to the headquarters immediately, while taking care to prioritize your personal safety. So, yeah, but the Fatui don't just attack people. It's not that they do that, no. Also, they don't really trap people. It's just they take information and maybe they do some trade stuff or whatever, but they go kind of around the back of people. Anyway, number 6, the Abyss Order. An ancient, mysterious group of enemies from the Abyss. No one knows how they come to be or what they seek. Occasionally, they can be spotted causing trouble near Mondstadt. Sometimes even in Mondstadt. Warning, members of the Abyss Order are highly dangerous enemies. If you encounter one, exercise great caution and report its location and activity to headquarters as soon as possible. Number 7, Stormterror's Lair. New. Refers to the ruins that lie to the northwest of Mondstadt. Legend holds that this area was once a city where a tyrant ruled from his tower. It has since been occupied by Dvalin, who shelters himself there. For this reason, these ruins have now been named Stormterror's Lair. This is just a general information, has probably nothing to do with the knights themselves. Anyway, we read through the whole thing, and we should be ready now. Let's do this. Alright, let's begin. Now, please listen to my questions. To the northwest of Mondstadt are some ruins. Legend holds that it was once a city where a tyrant ruled from this tower. It has since been occupied by Dvalin, who shelters himself there. My question is this. What is the... Oh, it's not who shelters himself there, it's Dvalin who shelters himself there. It's not a question as to who shelters himself there. Whatever. What is the official name now given to these ruins by the Knights of Favonius? Stormterror's Lair. Whoa. Okay, Dvalin's Den. Stormy Terry's Tower. Terry's. Okay, Stormterror's Lair. Let's go with this one. Correct. The ruins are indeed called Stormterror's Lair. But this is not really that important. Next question. Listen carefully. According to knightly etiquette, what is the proper form of address to use when speaking to unknown individuals encountered within Mondstadt's borders? Hello, whatever, traveler, merchant, whatnot. Sneaky little bastards, Dad. Burgeoning storm. No, strange yet respectable traveler. Correct. Strange yet respectable traveler, or indeed travelers, is the correct way to address those that we meet here, who hail from lands beyond. Now for my last question. As I'm sure you are completely aware, the affairs of the Knights of Favonius within the city walls are currently under the management of Miss Jean. My question then is, what is Miss Jean's official title? Acting Grand Master. Precisely. Jean's role is that of acting Grand Master. Alright, that was all from me. Let me see. Wow, the knights are so straight. You got them all correct. As expected of our honorary knight, such questions are no problem for you at all. To be honest, there are some locals who can't answer some of these questions. Please take this as a gift. Hey, 20,000 more. Exactly what we needed. I don't know if the questions would actually be somewhat random at some point. Anything tonight can help you. About Stormterror? Yeah, why not? One moment. Let me try to recall the Knights of Favonius Handbook. I'm sorry, I don't remember anything in there that tells us what to do when facing giant dragons. But I do remember that it does mention how to deal with sudden threats. When danger is imminent, please do not panic. Cover your head with both hands and crouch. I think I'll do as this says. They are... But they're referring to the normal public and not the guards themselves. Oh, there's some blacksmith stuff. Queue for the quest is not done. What's so special about the blacksmith? Can I help you? Yada yada yada. I want something made. Okay, let's just obtain all of that real quick. Then I can just put something else in the forgery. Can I... Nah, I don't need to make any other items in here. It just makes absolutely no sense. Alright. Perfect, perfect, perfect. I'm almost at 1 million, aren't I? So nice. I was at 2 something million at some point, I think. But yeah, everything is usually used up for character development and whatnot. So, New Horizons, yeah, that is the next one. And this is with this Catherine here in Mondstadt. So, but before we do this little mission, we're going to end this, well, kind of wordy episode. But anyway, then we can continue with another quest at another time. Until then, like and subscribe, of course. Ta-ta!